welcome to Dwayne's Guitar Lessons. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video lesson, we're going to talk about some techniques that you can master to learn to play like Jimi Hendrix. So let's take a look.
Audio Jungle.
Alright, now Jimi Hendrix was a guy back in the 60s who inspired everybody to want to play guitar. He was doing things that were way ahead of his time, you know, things that people hadn't even thought of yet, and before anybody could figure out what he did, he was gone. He unfortunately died, and people are still trying to figure out what he was doing. And of course, it's many years later, and we're still inspired to play like him, and hopefully you are as well. That's why you're watching this video. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of his techniques. We're not going to look at everything because it's going to be too much for this video, but we'll take a look at a couple basic things that he does to make his style of music, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to play the infamous Jimi Hendrix chord, okay? This is our E7 sharp 9. That's kind of a theoretical term for the chord. You don't have to, remember all that stuff. But anyway, we just want to figure out how to form it, okay? So the easiest way to do is we're going to take our second finger, middle finger, we're going to put it right here at the 5th string, 7th fret. We're going to take our first finger, index finger, put it right here at the 4th string on the 6th fret. We can take our third finger, put it on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So now we're under, these two fingers are on the same fret. And then we're going to put our pinky right here on the 2nd string, 8th fret. Okay? And this is going to make like this kind of jazz kind of chord. Alright? So this kind of sound, okay? This is it's called the Jimi Hendrix chord. It's the E7 sharp 9. Okay, it's very popular in like blues and stuff. Okay, so I would highly recommend you learn this chord. It's not an easy chord to play. It's not like a power chord, like a traditional rock chord or a bar chord. It's more of a jazz chord. Okay, so this is what you want to do. Master this. This is that I call it the Jimi Hendrix chord. It's the E7 sharp 9. Okay, and you want to just master moving that and forming that chord, and then you can move it up and down the fretboard like this. Okay. Okay, so that's the first thing, okay? Second thing is, one thing that Jimi Hendrix uses in a lot of his chord shapes is he used the F chord. Okay, Jimi Hendrix had big hands, so he could take his thumb and put it over the top and act as a root. Okay, so he would take that F chord shape and move it up the fretboard like this. Okay. Now, if you know your natural F chord, you should know that by now. If you don't, I highly recommend you learn that. I have some videos that kind of show you how to play some of those natural chords, but you can probably learn that by now, I'm sure. Anyway, that F chord shape, okay? If you can take your thumb and kind of bring it over the top and mute the E string, this right here, then we get that, and we can move it up the fretboard like this, okay? So that's the second thing you want to do. You want to master taking that F chord shape and moving it up the fretboard like this. So if it's F here, it becomes a G, and an A, and a B, C, D. Okay? Second thing you want to do is learn to master that, okay? Because he uses that in a lot of his songs as well, that chord shape, okay? Like for instance, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. In Purple Haze, okay, the intro to that song, he's using those two chord shapes. He's using that E7 sharp 9, that jazz chord, and then he uses the F shape. So he's going like this. There's a lot more going on than that. You got the picking, the strumming that he's doing as well. But the main thing is just trying to get that transition between those two chord shapes. That's what's really tricky here, okay? And you're going to have to take some practice. It's going to take some practice. Just take some time with it. Get that first chord shape down, and then try to get the next chord shape down from the F to the E7 sharp 9. Okay? That's not an F, that's an A. But I'm saying that F chord shape, if you understand what I'm saying, okay? So once you get that transition down, you'll be fine. But the hardest thing is to get that transition down, that transition like this, okay? Alright, so those two things right there. The other thing that he uses, real common in his songs, is he uses octave chords, okay? Now, if you're not too sure what an octave chord is, let me tell you. A power chord is a real simple rock chord. We're using two strings, just playing two strings, right? Okay? Now, what you do with an octave chord is you take that third finger, or the pinky, whatever it is you're using, and you move it down a string, okay? Now you have two notes that are the same. You can hear that, okay? Okay, this is a real common chord we use in rock and roll as well. It's real common in Jimi Hendrix chords, okay, in his music. It's kind of the song Fire a little bit there, okay, and that was using octave chords. He also uses that in Purple Haze too, where he goes. Okay, so that's the other, I would say the third chord shape that you want to try to learn for playing Jimi Hendrix, okay? So chord shape number 1 was the E7 sharp 9. Chord shape number 2 was our F chord shape. Moved up the fretboard and try to bar if you can with your thumb, okay? Jimi Hendrix was able to do that because he had big hands. If you don't have big hands, you just try to get it up there and mute that E string if you can. Just do the best you can, okay? But it allows you to move that chord shape up the fretboard without having to do a bar like this, okay? So it's just a little bit different form of playing. And then the third chord shape right off the bat is your octave chords. As you notice, these octave chords give you a different type of sound than a power chord. See, here we're playing this in power chords. Move our finger down a string, play it in octave chords. All right? Learn that, and I guarantee you'll be able to master some Jimi Hendrix songs. All right, so there we have it. 3 things that you can do to master, to be able to play like Jimi Hendrix, and utilize those even in your own songs too. If you're creating your own songs, you're kind of trying to figure out some different sounds to make, work on those things, those 3 different chord types. I guarantee you that's going to give you a lot of expression in your music. Plus, it's going to help you out with learning other songs too, because a lot of the guitar players in rock and roll, they all use a lot of the different, they use similar types of things, similar type of chord shapes and stuff. So that's going to help you in other areas as well, okay? So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions about anything that I've taught, be sure to leave them in the comments below, or if you have any other kind of techniques that I might not have mastered, or I'm sorry, not mastered, that I might not have mentioned, might help I learn how to talk here. Anyway, and be sure to, if you liked the video, you feel you got something out of it, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Be sure to click the bell for notifications for future videos that I'll be shooting, and be sure to visit my website, okay, because I got a lot of great stuff there on my website at dwaynesguitarlessons.com, and I've also got some training guides that'll help you out with your practice routine. I'll leave that in the link below. I've always got links below, so be sure to check that out in the description box, because those are some really good stuff to help you with your guitar playing, okay? So until our next lesson, you take care.